One, two, three. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our morning brief. My name is Jimmy Song. Today is December 22nd, 2017. A lot of stuff going on, especially the price. We'll get to that in a second. Tone, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Jimmy. It's good to be up early. I got a flight in a little bit, so let's get the show going.
All right, so first story of the day. Our response to a cryptocurrency without a blockchain has been built to outperform Bitcoin. This is MIT Media Lab or MIT Technology Review talking about Iota in particular. They go and sort of systematically destroy a lot of Iota's claims. The Iota obviously has been pumping quite a bit along with pretty much every altcoin the last week or so until pretty much yesterday. So there's a lot of different particular things. They have four quotes in particular that they talk about. And let's just say that the MIT Tech Review people aren't too impressed with Iota. Your thoughts on this, Tone?
So I kind of love the title, right? A cryptocurrency without a blockchain, right? Because remember, over the prior year, it was all about the blockchain without a cryptocurrency, right? Like these guys will come up with any buzzwords to sell their scam. It's absolutely amazing. I actually preferred the blockchain without a cryptocurrency because they're just like selling a database. So kind of like Hyperledger, which is generally useless. But at least there's no scam token involved with it. I mean, Iota is a complete disaster from the beginning. It took me about 5 minutes to realize that this is pure garbage, and this was like a year ago or whenever it came out, 6 months ago. I haven't had time to do a crypto scam on it. I'm not even sure it deserves a crypto scam on it. It's a totally useless token. It has absolutely no utility. It's another one of those you have to use our token to use our product, which for some reason Amazon still hasn't figured out that it would be great to use Amazon stock to buy things from Amazon. That's pretty much what Iota is selling you. So not only are they selling you a conceptually useless token, they're also selling you a technologically incompetent token. Over in Bogota a few weeks ago, I was like talking about this with Peter Todd. I don't know for what reason we started talking about this thing. And he said they basically had like major flaws in their code. And when this was pointed out to them, their answer was, "Oh, we put it there on purpose in case someone copies."
No, that's response 4 right there. It was about the whole curl hash function. Yeah. First explanation was that the flaw was intentional, that it was meant to serve as a form of copy protection. And then later on, he says he didn't write the curl code at all, but that an AI wrote it.
Is that better? Is that better or worse?
I don't. This reeks of like you going to like camp as like a middle schooler, and they tell you about the fat guy tells you about like the really beautiful girlfriend he has at home. That's why he's not hitting on any of the girls here. I mean just sure it was. So yeah, that's it just doesn't pass the smell test for me. So the curl hash function, I mean, just come clean with it if you messed up. I mean, rather than try to make these.
I mean, I would have gone with a slightly different analogy. I would have been like, yeah, I know you're like 12-year-old, so that's why we put a bunch of weapons in your bunk just to see that you guys would not actually hurt each other with them.
Yeah, they really don't make any sense. But anyway, there are 4 particular things. I'm sure they could have written more, but this was an interesting one. All right, let's move on to the next story, which maybe they're not talking quite as much on. But Kevin Clark is an NFL reporter. And he says, I've been in 3 NFL locker rooms in the past 3 weeks, and the hottest topic by a wide margin is which players invested in Bitcoin. So pretty crazy. I'm seeing this just in normal life as well. I'm getting like emails from, people I haven't heard in a long time. Are we at a peak or something? What's going on, Tone?
I mean, look, the Bitcoin stuff, it's actually pretty cool as far as, social trends go. So I'm not surprised at this at all. I think over in LA, the LA conference you and I were at, the BlockCon, there was a guy there who's like an amateur basketball player, and his cousin is an actual NBA player. And he was saying how, I mean, he's into this stuff and how like he's getting some of the NBA players into crypto. I'm not going to name any names of the NBA players, but yeah, I'm finding this pretty interesting. Hey, hope they watch us. That's all I can say.
Well, none of them follow us yet, Toad. If they actually cared, they'd follow us.
I know. It would be nice to get some seats one day to some nice games.
Yeah, that would be fun. All right. It's definitely crossing over into mainstream. Although maybe with the pullback today, who knows what's happening. All right. So this is a story that we've been following, the Bitcoin USA Luge Challenge, and we because of what we said on our show, they put up nice BTC amounts and specific goals to be met. But they didn't really release an address until now, and now we can see what's going on. They've already raised 0.673 Bitcoin. They have about, I don't know, a dozen or so donations. If you guys are interested in supporting USA Luge, here is your QR code. You can go probably scan this off the video, or you can go to the link below and give it a shot. Obviously, I think they like that. Only thing is the mempool is pretty crazy right now. I don't know if you've seen it, but yeah, the fees have gone astronomically high at the moment, and there are lots of blocks that are getting close to the mining reward just in fees. So it's like 23 Bitcoin per block right now for a lot of miners. So kind of crazy. Your thoughts, Tone, on USA Luge?
It's just bad timing with the current mempool situation. That really is. I mean, Andreas timed his very well. It was just when this whole mess started. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. And look, I'm going to probably talk about this before I jump to the price. People love trolling like my statement. I made a statement back a year ago saying that SegWit is going to relieve the mempool problems. And now everyone's making fun of that statement. But my reply is, no one is using SegWit. Like, that's the problem, right? SegWit would have probably resolved all of this if we had 90 to 95% SegWit penetration and usage. But instead, we're sitting at like 5 to 15% of using SegWit. And the biggest culprits are blockchain.info, which unfortunately you're advertising at the moment. The biggest culprits of not using SegWit addresses are blockchain.info, Coinbase, and BitPay. I believe, and probably Zappo as well, right? I should start throwing Zappo in there. I mean, these are the companies that are responsible for your large mempool, not the core devs. Do you agree with that statement, Jimmy?
Yeah, to a large degree, because SegWit is a block size increase, but you need more people to use SegWit. And like, this is a very short-term thing. I mean, it'll happen once in a while like this, where sort of a conflation of a bunch of things happen so that the mempool gets this big. But there's relief on the way. Again, are you in this for the short term or the long term? And if you're in this for the short term, you're going to going to suffer on this sort of thing.
Well, it's obvious most people are in it for the short term, right? Just from the Bcash pump and from the Ripple nonsense. No one is actually looking into the technology. Everyone just wants to see how much money they can make. And if they can bash Bitcoin in order to make more money, they will do it.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next week or so. But certainly, this mempool increasing like this, this sort of thing happens sometimes. All right, this is sort of our lead. This is our big story of the day. Long Island Iced Tea Company pivoting to blockchain, and its stock price goes up by 400%, which is kind of insane.
They'll be saying an intimate hello to the SEC very, very soon. I mean, they're still going to be selling iced tea, only now they're going to be called blockchain iced tea company. I know this is just bad. Again, and if you think this is scammy, you haven't met, please come to the crypto space, right? I mean, this is what it is. This is literally putting lipstick on a pig. You throw the word blockchain into rebranding of your company without anything to do with blockchain, and your stock soars like 400%. So the SEC will be giving them a call, and they will be getting a fine, and they'll be lucky if their company is still listed. I mean, the SEC dealt with this before. They dealt with this during the dot-com crisis, during the dot-com crash.
Yeah, I still remember that. There were companies that were putting .com in their name just to go up like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is what you're gonna get. I mean, but it's like altcoins, right? Like these companies will need to, like, eventually, like, people will stop caring, right? Just like eventually people will stop caring about these altcoins, and they're gonna go to zero. So, but no one knows when that time's gonna come.
Yeah. And a lot of these scams can go on a long time, and especially with tiny micro cap stocks, you can do reverse mergers and things.
So they'll probably, I mean, again, right, this is the kind of stuff, I mean, I don't, look, I'm not here defending the SEC. I'm just saying the SEC was created to deal with this kind of stuff. Now, whether they have the manpower to deal with it properly or not is a different question. Whether they should or shouldn't deal with it, again, is a debatable question. But if the SEC has manpower, I mean, there would be an immediate investigation as to who bought up the stock ahead of the name change and who sold at the top. And if these people were insiders of the company, these people could potentially go to prison.
Yeah, indeed. I just hope that they don't. They don't stop making their Long Island iced tea. I'm sure it's delicious. All right, let's look at the next story. Goldman Sachs is setting up a cryptocurrency trading desk. So, great timing. Like they announced this, Bitcoin crashes. Apparently they are going to clear a bunch of futures and things, and they're going to get into the digital currency market. Your thoughts on what's happening?
That headline is fairly broad. Is Goldman Sachs getting into the cryptocurrency trading, or is Goldman Sachs getting into Bitcoin trading, right? Because those are two very different things. Bitcoin trading is now legal and somewhat regulated, right? Because you have the futures. I'm not exactly sure where Ledger X stands. I believe they're gonna be like look at it this way, right? Like Goldman Sachs can't just go and put money on Poloniex, right? I mean, it doesn't work that way, right? There's some accountability there, right? I mean, Goldman Sachs should see how incompetent GDAX is, right? They should be laughing at them, which we'll get to in a minute, I think. They should be laughing at them, right? So there's only so much that Goldman Sachs is willing to do from a competency level. So they can definitely trade the CBOE futures. The CBOE futures. They can trade the CME futures. They might be able to trade on Ledger X if they feel that there's enough liquidity. They might come into Ledger X and maybe form a partnership to provide some of that liquidity, right? Maybe Goldman Sachs will go and buy Ledger X, right? This is the kind of thing that Goldman Sachs can do. But there's a big difference between them getting into cryptocurrency trading and them getting into the Bitcoin side of trading that has now been approved by regulators for standardized trading. So I would love to get more details on which side of the fence Goldman is sitting on. But either way, this is what they're going to do. I mean, if it's legal for them to trade it, they're going to trade it. They're going to make a market in it, and they are going to be the leaders in it. Well, I know people like to demonize Goldman Sachs, but from experience, I can tell you that the smartest people I ever worked with in my 9 years of Wall Street all tried working at Goldman Sachs, and very few of them were successful at working at Goldman Sachs. And once they got to Goldman Sachs, it would be like one of the smartest, most harder working people in my office gets to Goldman Sachs and then texting me saying they're worried about their job, that they're going to get fired, after the first year, because if you can survive the first year at Goldman, then you're kind of set. They're very competitive. They do really hire like the brightest of the bunch. Now, yeah, there's groupthink involved and things go bad. But as far as getting a job at Goldman Sachs, try it. You ain't gonna pass around one of the interviews. I know I wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah.
I didn't even
apply. Yeah, this is where a lot of the best and the brightest go, is making money for a bunch of people that just push money around. Yeah. So anyway, they are going to make markets. Hopefully, they can make it more liquid. Who knows what sort of derivatives they'll come up with, but yeah, they seem to be going into a lot of these markets, and they have custody issues like every institution. So that will always be worth watching out for. All right, last story is GDAX. So they had these two pairs, BCH, EUR, and you could read about it in their GDAX status. And they had they put those two up with BCH USD. Those are all, they had all three pairs up, and then they started BCH USD. Then that crashed. Their servers couldn't handle it. It was only open for a few minutes. And then they came back online like the next day with BCH USD. And then they finally posted. So BCH USD seems to be going more or less okay. But these other two pairs, they had post only, and then they basically canceled them. And this latest update says BCH EUR and BCH BTC books will now enter cancel only mode, and all resting orders will be canceled. These books will be temporarily disabled until January 2018. So they thought they could put these other two pairs up, but they never even started trading. And they've more or less just stopped both of them because their backend can't handle it. What's going on, Tim? Why is this happening?
Again, this is a repeat from yesterday, right? Like, I don't understand how GDAX and Coinbase have not yet been hacked for their Bitcoin, because these companies are so incompetent that it amazes me how they're able to hold on to all of their Bitcoin. They don't know what they're doing. What they should have done from the beginning is integrate SegWit to resolve the high fees. Instead, they are maliciously preventing Bitcoin from lowering its mempool and focusing on the Bcash stuff that they can't even get right. Like they started offering these pairs, now they're going to cancel these pairs. I mean, I don't think anyone there knows what they're doing.
Yeah, scale seems to be something that Coinbase continues to struggle with, and we have no idea what scale they're dealing with. It could be millions of users, it could be thousands of users. Who knows how many people are actively trading this stuff?
Right. The best thing they can do for the crypto world is to integrate every address to be a SegWit address. But instead, they're focusing on, transaction fees of their own exchange, right? Like trading fees. So, I mean, it just shows you how these companies don't care about the technology. All they care about is the bottom line of making money.
Yeah, and right now they want to punish Bitcoin, I think, to some degree, because SegWit 2x didn't go through, and this is their way of sort of punishing them. So I don't know. Will the community punish them back, Tone? What do you think's going to happen?
No. The community is fairly lazy. The majority of the crypto community, it just wants to invest in the next pump and dump, right? I mean, we're seeing it right now with things like Ripple, Iota. I mean, I've been going off on Coinbase and blockchain.info and BitPay and Zappo actually, I'm not even sure about Zappo. I'm assuming they don't have SegWit, right? Like, I assume these companies don't have SegWit because these companies don't they're not interested in helping Bitcoin. They're not interested in what Bitcoin is, because Bitcoin is actually decentralized value transfer. None of these companies want that. They want a centralized token they can control. More importantly, a centralized token where they can control the development. This is why they're all interested in a 2x agreement of hard forking to firing Bitcoin Core so they can have their own two developers that they can control the token and create it the next PayPal. That's what Bcash is. That's what all of these other hard forks are, Bitcoin Unlimited and all the rest of them. So none of these big companies in the crypto space, they don't want Bitcoin. They hate Bitcoin. It does nothing for them because they can't control it because it's actually decentralized. So that's the problem. So the community needs to hold these companies accountable and continue to make them get SegWit, just like bombard them with I'm using Twitter for this, but hopefully people will start to get irate and start calling these CEOs and companies out publicly when they show up at events. Like, hey, next time you ever hear Brian Armstrong speak at some event, get up there and berate him on how come you hate Bitcoin so much that you haven't integrated SegWit.
Well, I mean, I'd like to see some competition, right? I really wish some more U.S.-based exchanges would pop up. I mean, the profit margins are huge, and you're going to get a ton of signups.
But it's hard, right? It's hard because how are you going to get $100 million invested in your project to support Bitcoin, right? Look what happened. God forbid, one small organization within Bitcoin Core got some funding, got $50 million, and some of that money came from a financial company, and everyone is like going nuts over this. Okay, meanwhile, everyone is okay with Coinbase like being anti-Bitcoin with the $100 or $200 million that they've gotten over the years from who knows where. Meanwhile, core developers, they're actually trying to keep Bitcoin decentralized, get a little bit of money from AXA, and it's a giant conspiracy theory how the bankers own Bitcoin. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway, I think maybe we should move on to price because I think everyone is interested in what's going on right now.
Yeah, let's talk about price. One of the reasons why, but this is all related, right? Because one of the reasons why Bitcoin is right now going down and people are able to talk crap about Bitcoin is because companies like Coinbase haven't integrated SegWit to give us cheaper transactions, and instead the mempool is clogged. So all of these things are connected.
All right. So let's see what you have up there.
Let me move this over and move this over. And so a little teaser, but before I talk about price, Jimmy, you mind muting, please?
Yeah, sure.
So before I talk about price, I just want to point to
how do I mute?
So a couple of really good tweets. I mean, Nick Szabo is now calling out Bcash. I can't believe he called it Bitcoin Cash. And Jameson Law pointed out that like more than 50% of the nodes are basically fake of Bcash are fake nodes at Alibaba, right? I mean, you're dealing with a centralized token. Guys, you're dealing with a centralized token. Oh, and hey, and please check out this video. I have it in my video description. We're not going to play it for you, but Elizabeth Stark of Lightning, she was on Bloomberg. I mean, Bloomberg seems to understand markets way better than CNBC. I would watch CNBC. I'd watch Bloomberg. They seem to be a lot more in tune. So good job of Elizabeth Stark being on with Joe Wisenhall for an interview about Lightning. All right, so what is that? I don't know what that is. Trading. So I have a Learn Trading section. Please read this over. If you are confused about what indicators I'm using, they are described in section 6, but you need to be an expert at sections 1 to 5. All right, so here's the weekly chart. It looks absolutely horrifying. However, we've gotten up so much in the last 4 weeks that this current 25 or 30% fall, what do we fall? We fell like 30% already, right? So this current 30% fall has not yet flipped my indicator to go neutral yet. I mean, the indicator is still green. It's still positive. Like if you're a long-term trader of Bitcoin using weekly charts, I mean, you could have got out. I mean, this trend line was hit perfectly. This trend line was drawn back in like 2013. I can't even believe we hit it. but I've had this trend line in my pictures basically in forever. I started writing Cointelegraph articles around here back, oh no, earlier than that. Oh no, around there, around June. Yeah, so around June, July of 2014, I started writing Cointelegraph articles about price. And after the price reversed around here, I drew this trend line coming in from 2011 or 2012, sorry. And we hit the trend line and we're pulling back a little bit. Now these zones are still there. These yellow zones are still there, right? So let's see at what point you can buy the dip. Notice I am not wearing my buy the dip shirt today, even though we just fell a lot like while we were on the air. I don't think it's time to buy the dip yet, and here's why. Here's the daily chart, and people love to make fun, right? So here's the reality of the situation. My trading is very, very straightforward at all-time highs. I follow this indicator. The moment a green 2 starts trading above a green 1, it's a buying opportunity, and I assume we're going to hit a 9, which we did. You can take some profit, little pullback, you start going up again, boom, right here. 2 starts trading above a 1, you're back in a bull market. Where do you take your profit? Well, you take your profit on a 9. You assume it's going to be a 9. You take your profit, it did not go down. When do you get back into the market? Well, simple. You wait for another green number to trade above a prior green number. Boom, right here. The 2 starts trading above a 1. And if you were conservative, you could have waited till the 3 started trading above the 2 because then it's at all-time highs. Right there, boom. So one of these two lines puts you back into the bull zone. Where do you take your profit? Well, either a price flip, which means you get a red number, or another 9. Boom, here's another 9. You take your profit. You assume it's going to be a small correction, maybe a big correction. When do you get back into the bullish trade? The moment a candle with a green number starts trading above a candle with a prior green number. Boom, that was right here. Now, after you enter your bull trade based on daily charts right here, where do you get out? Well, you're going to assume another 9 because it worked like the previous 3 freaking times, okay? We had a 4, we had a 5, we had a 6, and then boom, 4 days ago, we had a bad day. The moment you see this is closing at a red 1, you basically say, hey, I don't think this trade is working out. Okay, the assumption before this day happens, the assumption is you're going higher into a 9. It's worked for you the prior 3 times. That is way better odds than normal 50-50 guessing. You assume it's going to go to a 9. It doesn't go to a 9. So what do? The moment you have a red 1, you can say, hey, my trade failed. I'm going to get out. Now, did you get out at the top of this candle, which means you got out with a good profit? Did you get out at the bottom of this candle, which means you got out with a tiny little loss from your original trade? Or you got out at the close of the candle, which means you made some money, but nothing to really, write home about. You could have also exited here, right? Based on traditional trading, you had a bit of a doji or a spinning top, creating you an all-time high. So the moment your next candle starts trading below that candle, that is a warning based on traditional trading. Now, I would not have done that, but I'm just saying, for me, that would not have been enough to get out of my bullish trade. I was still bullish at the time. So where should you enter your short trade, assuming you are brave enough to short Bitcoin? Well, right here. The moment a candle with a red 2 starts trading below a red 1, it creates a shorting opportunity. But remember, that's on a daily chart. You're going against your weekly chart, which remains bullish. But your daily chart gave you a shorting opportunity right here. This short trade is working out amazingly well. Now, yesterday when we did this video, I did not anticipate a $3,000 drop in the price of Bitcoin. I was expecting a Bitcoin to fall to around $12,000 to reach this moving average to give us a potential buy the dip situation, buy the rebound. this candle is really, really bad. So what am I looking at right now? Well, just like anytime I entered with a green number trading above a prior green number, I was looking for a green 9. I am looking for a red 9. So at this point, I am looking for 5 more days of downside. Are those days going to look like this day here? Or are these days going to look like this day here? I have no freaking idea, okay? I was hoping that, this day number 4 wouldn't be so bad, and we can get to a red 9 staying above the moving average, the daily 50-day moving average, and staying above this dotted line. This dotted line is known as setup trend, okay? So those of you that are familiar with this indicator can go ahead and start Googling. Where's this dotted line coming from? This dotted line is coming from the lowest point in the creation of the green 9 that we got. Okay, what does this line mean? It means that if you get a red 9 in the opposite direction, above this green dotted line, there is a high probability that the 9 would lead to a full-blown reversal. If you get a red 9 below this line, it means there is a high probability that this red 9 is only the beginning of the massacre and not the ending of it, right? Leading to a 13 to the downside, okay, after the 9. So there's nothing you can do right here other than it looks bad, and it might get worse, because at this point, I will always wait for my 9 in order to call a buy, or I have to see something else, right? One of the reasons why I missed a good buying opportunity right here, right? I know this is going on a little winded, but I don't know if I'll have internet connection from San Andreas. It's an island off the coast of Panama, which is where I'm headed to next. So when I called the top right here, and we were, this is identical, right? Like, look how similar this looks, right? This was a fall from $7,500, and we bottomed at around 5,400 on Bitfinex, let's say, right? So look at this candle number 4 and how bad it was. And look at the current situation. It looks pretty much exactly the same. It looks even worse now, okay? So what was I looking for in this scenario, and why was I why couldn't I time the dip? Well, because I was looking for a 9 to the downside, okay? And it didn't come, it reversed. So right here, where the 2 started trading above the 1 is where your short trade failed. But look, your short trade still made you money. If you shorted right here where the indicator told you to, and you got out of your trade on a price flip, that's money. That's a positive short trade, okay? This is when the indicator said, hey, you know what? The short didn't work out. You still made money on it. Be happy. Now it's time to go long, and boom, we were off to the races from 6,000 all the way to 20,000, okay? So now it's the same thing. Now, what am I looking for? I am looking for either a red 9 to take profit from a short trade and time a long trade, or I'm looking for a price flip. All right, let's zoom in. Let's zoom into the 4-hour, okay? Now, this 4-hour is about to give you a 9, right? So you could get a little temporary relief in about 2 hours, in about 2 to 6 hours, right? Now, remember, the 4-hour topped on a 9, which is perfect, right? Let me turn on the back test here. The 4-hour gave you a perfect exit. Now, I thought it was only going to be a 1 to 4 day correction and then higher, because the daily and the weekly were still very, very bullish. But hey, this is what trading is. You have to recognize where you're wrong. So if you took your profits using the 4-hour chart on this 9, you could have timed the 1 to 4 candle correction and then higher, right? Actually, the bullish trade, according to the indicator, barely took place. It probably took place at the very top of this candle, where the candle following a green 1 started trading higher. But the candle closed at a red 1, so you could have had your stop loss, let's say below the low. So around here on this bad day, you could have realized that, you know what, man, this long trade is not working out. I'm going to go ahead and take a small loss. Where does this 4-hour chart tell you to go short? Boom, right here, it told you to go short once a candle with a red 4 started trading below a red 3. Okay, did it ever tell you to take your profit? Well, this might have been a 9 candle for a minute. We had a little reversal, and then boom, once again, you had a red number trading below a red number. Nowhere in this downtrend do you see a green number trading above a prior green number. So at no point since here, at no point since December 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern time, at no point after that, oh, actually maybe right here. Okay, so let's put it this way. This is the only other time you might have had a green number trading above a prior green number, maybe, because you have to see this in real time, okay? But in any case, nowhere in this downtrend are you being informed to potentially buy Bitcoin. But a 9 is coming on the next candle, and that could be some temporary relief for a 1 to 4 candle correction, and then probably lower, okay? So it doesn't look good for Bitcoin right here. Now, here is Coinbase. Now, I have to change this because look at this. I don't know if this is a TradingView problem or a Coinbase problem. I default blame Coinbase because they're just incompetent. Like this candle right here, 1221, 1500 hours. The next candle, 1221, 2100 hours. So there's 5 hours of candles missing. And I know this was up because I sent this to one of my group chats. I'm like, hey, you get a 9 on the hourly, look for a 1 to 4 candle correction and then lower, okay? So I have to change this. I have to get out of the Coinbase thing. I can't use Coinbase anymore. I mean, the data feed is garbage. Let's go to Bitstamp, BTC USD on Bitstamp. That should be much better. Boom, there it is, right? And here it is again, right? Because now there's no candles missing. So you get this 9 on the hourly. What does the 9 usually tell you? 1 to 4 candle correction in the opposite direction, and then lower into a 13. Then on the way to a 13, you had another 9 a few hours ago. What is the 9 telling you? Usually a 1 to 4 candle correction, and then once again lower. And that's what's happening. So the next time this thing gets a break on the hourly chart is in 3 more hours or 3 to 4 more hours when you get a 13. Now this 13 is going to come from this 9, and there is another 13 happening here, okay? Now, I don't really find the 13s all that useful in the crypto space. I find the 9s to be significantly better. Since I still have it up, here is Bcash. Again, Bcash is still on a daily chart. It's still positive. But the next candle will, 1, 2, 3, 4. The next candle may or may not flip the color. So I don't know what's going on. I heard some crazy things happen with Litecoin. I heard it fell from like 300 down to like 100 something. You know what? I haven't been paying attention. Good for Charlie. He sold at the top. Good job, man. All right. That was a little long-winded. Oh, man. I actually have to go to the airport. Jimmy, back to you.
Yeah. Well, thanks, everyone, for joining us. And this song is done.